Hello and welcome to the show. Today we delve into the wacky, the weird and the downright unbelievable world of the legal system with our countdown of the top 10 strangest court cases in the world. But trust me on this one, folks, these cases are anything but ordinary. From bizarre lawsuits to unbelievable judgments, these cases will leave you scratching your head and wondering if the lawyers involved were secretly replaced by chimpanzees in powdered wigs. So buckle up, because things are about to get legally ludicrous. Our first case takes us back to 1992 with a woman named Stella Liebeck, and you guessed it, McDonald's. Now, we've all been there, right? You're craving a McMuffin, you swing by the drive-thru and boom, coffee spillage. But for Stella, this wasn't just any coffee mishap. This was third-degree burn territory, folks. See, Stella was 79 years old at the time, and she was in the passenger seat of her parked car when she spilled the scalding coffee. And let me tell you, McDonald's liked their coffee hot. So Stella sues McDonald's and the media. They had a field day. The jury saw through the media frenzy and ultimately awarded Stella nearly $3 million in damages. Although the amount was later reduced, it became a landmark case highlighting corporate responsibility and the importance of, not serving coffee that could double as a weapon. Next up, we have a case that's straight out of a horror movie. A couple buys a house only to discover it's haunted. Now, you might be thinking, John, that's just a spooky story you tell around a campfire, but this couple, they weren't messing around. They sued the previous homeowners for not disclosing the ghostly inhabitants, claiming they were tricked into buying a house of horrors. The courtroom became a battleground of paranormal proportions. The plaintiffs claimed they had witnesses, experts, maybe even the Ghostbusters themselves, to testify to the home's haunted happenings. The defense, on the other hand, argued that ghosts weren't exactly covered under standard disclosure laws. Believe it or not, the court actually ruled in favor of the plaintiffs. The judge declared that the previous homeowners had a duty to disclose the home's spooky reputation. So there you have it, folks. Legal precedent for haunted houses. Now let's talk about a case that hits close to home, or should I say, close to the closet. This is the story of a judge, yes, a judge, who sued a dry cleaner for a whopping $67 million. His claim, they lost his pants. Now I know what you're thinking, John, $67 million for a pair of pants. Was it woven from the finest unicorn hair? Sadly, no. These were just your average, everyday trousers. But for this judge, it was a matter of principle. He argued that the dry cleaner's satisfaction guaranteed sign was a legally binding contract, and by failing to return his pants, they had caused him significant emotional distress. The case dragged on for years, becoming a media circus. In the end, the judge's case was dismissed, and he became a cautionary tale about the dangers of taking legal matters and dry cleaning a little too seriously. Chapter 4. The case of the monkey selfie. They grow up so fast. Hold on to your bananas, folks, because this next case is a wild ride. It all started with a photographer named David Slater, who was on a trip to Indonesia. He befriended a group of crested macaques, those monkeys with the cool hairstyles. Anyway, David left his camera unattended for a moment, and one particularly curious monkey decided to take it for a spin. The result, a selfie for the ages. The photo went viral, sparking a debate about copyright law and animal rights. David claimed ownership of the photo, arguing that he set up the shot and the monkey was simply a tool. The case went to court, and believe it or not, the judge ruled in favor of the monkey. Well, not exactly the monkey itself, but Peter, who filed the lawsuit on its behalf. Chapter 5. The case of the burglary gone wrong. Play stupid games. Our next case is a cautionary tale about the dangers of breaking and entering, and also perhaps common sense. A burglar, in a truly remarkable display of poor judgment, decided to break into a house, so far so illegal. But here's where it gets interesting. While attempting to make his escape, the burglar fell through the garage roof and injured himself. Now, most people in this situation would count their lucky stars. They weren't caught and slink away into the night. Not this guy. He decided to sue the homeowner for negligence, claiming that the homeowner should have taken better care of his roof. Chapter 6. The case of the psychic predictions. Seeing is not believing. Now let's talk about a case that's truly out of this world, or at least it claims to be. a woman decided to sue her psychic for a cool $1 million. Her reason? The psychic's predictions were about as accurate as a weather forecast from a magic 8-ball. The woman claimed that she had been seeing the psychic for years, paying for guidance and predictions about her future. However, she alleged that the psychic's advice was consistently wrong, leading her down a path of bad decisions and emotional distress. The plaintiff argued that the psychic had taken advantage of her vulnerability and should be held accountable for the inaccurate predictions. In the end, the judge dismissed the case, ruling that the woman had no legal basis to sue the psychic. Beer commercials. They promise us a world of good times, attractive people, and endless fun. But what happens when those promises fall flat? Well, in this case, a man decided to sue a beer company for false advertising. This wasn't your average case of a misleading label or an exaggerated claim. This man claimed that, after years of drinking the beer, he had failed to achieve the lifestyle depicted in the commercials. That's right, folks. He sued because he wasn't living the beer-soaked dream. He argued that the commercials implied that drinking the beer would bring him popularity, success, and maybe even a supermodel girlfriend. The court, understandably, had a hard time taking this case seriously. The judge dismissed the lawsuit, pointing out that beer commercials are, in fact, fictionalized representations and not a guarantee of a life of leisure and luxury. Remember the joy of finding a prize in your cereal box as a kid? It was like Christmas morning, but with more milk. Well, for one man, that childhood joy turned into adult disappointment and eventually a lawsuit. This man sued a cereal company for false advertising because, you guessed it, his box of cereal didn't contain the advertised toy. Now, I know what you're thinking, John, it's just a toy, but for this man it was a matter of principle. He argued that the cereal company had made a promise printed right there on the box, and they had failed to deliver. The court, however, wasn't swayed by his arguments. The judge dismissed the case, ruling that the cereal company had not engaged in any deceptive practices, and that the absence of a toy did not constitute a breach of contract. Friendship, as they say, is priceless. But what happens when friendship collides with the allure of millions of dollars? Well, in this case, it ended up in court. A man sued his friend for not sharing his lottery winnings. The two friends had a long-standing agreement to split any lottery winnings they might come across. However, when one of them actually won big, he decided to keep all the cash for himself. The other friend wasn't about to let their pact go unchallenged. He took his buddy to court, arguing that their verbal agreement was legally binding and that he was entitled to half the winnings. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of the plaintiff, declaring that the verbal agreement, however informal, was valid. And finally, we come to our most bizarre case yet, a case that truly bends the space-time continuum. A man sued a group of individuals for defamation because they accused him of not being a time traveler. This man, who claimed to have traveled back in time from the year 2071, was publicly ridiculed and accused of being a fraud. Outraged by these accusations, he decided to take legal action, demanding justice for himself and all time travelers. As you might expect, the judge dismissed the case, ruling that there was no scientific evidence to support the plaintiff's claims of time travel. Well, there you have it, folks. Our whirlwind tour of the top 10 strangest court cases in the world has come to an end. We've seen it all: hot coffee lawsuits, haunted house disputes, and even a time traveler seeking justice. Thanks for watching our countdown of the top 10 strange court cases in the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing content. And remember, if you're ever thinking of suing someone over a missing toy in your cereal box, maybe just have a Snickers instead.